Yeah. Good morning. Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this fine Tuesday morning. Tuesday, the 26th of May. Celtic are believed to be interviewing potential managers this week, including Martin O'Neill. I don't know how Martin O'Neill would need an interview, but it is an interesting concept. Good morning to Stephen Johnson and everyone else in the chat. A lot of people saying good morning to you, Stephen. I know that you can't read the comments, so yeah, there's quite a lot of people saying good morning to you this morning, sir. Anyway, let's get on to some of the news, the developments from last night. Last night we did the video, obviously talking about Sean Maloney in the director of football position. And it seems that it wasn't the director of football, it was head of football operations. Now, that was the post that was held by Paul Tisdale. That is the post that was held by Paul Tisdale. Would Sean Maloney be better in that job and Martin O'Neill in a position upstairs above him with a new football manager to come into play? It's all just speculation at this point, but that was journalist Stephen McCowan who reported that it was the head of football operations, Paul Tisdale's job, late last night. He reported that. There was a lot of other stuff going on last night as well. Once we I did the early live. Obviously, there was the one that came out. Martin O'Neill is part of the managerial candidates. And a candidate. Celtic, another one that McGowan had told us about is there's nothing new this summer. There's nothing new this summer with Celtic. Celtic are going, they're in the market. They're targeting players that were targeted before. That then leaves the question: is well, what is the point in bringing in a manager? If we're going after targets, if the club are already deciding the players that we're going for, needless to say that a manager would want to come in and play his own style of football. If we're picking players that cannot, under Wilfred Nancy, players didn't like the Wilfred Nancy system. If we pick players and the manager comes in and the players cannot play to the manager's system, whom is them to blame? Liam's just sobered up from Saturday, not even going to lie. And he's looking at his WhatsApp going, ugh, who's this? Who's this? Who's this freak calling me? You had to be there. It's a private joke from the watch along, the very last watch along. Anyway, getting back to the fact that we're looking at players that we've looked at before. It was also alleged confirmation last night that Dies Maida, Arne Engel, Rio Hatate are expected to leave the club this summer. We obviously know Kasper Schmeichel will leave the club this summer. He's out of contract and he's not fit. Wouldn't be like Celtic to sign someone that's not fit again. And then it says Paulo Bernardo is likely to join him. Now that's an interesting one because I went on to Paulo Bernardo's Instagram. And this is what Paulo Bernardo had to say. Doesn't really have the sense of a player that's leaving the club in the summer. What a way to end the 25-26 season, Scottish Premiership champions and Scottish Cup winners. Grateful to everyone who continued to support me throughout the year. Now it's time to rest. Rest and enjoy some quality time with family and friends before coming back stronger for next season. And a little green love heart. That doesn't say to me that that's a player that's saying goodbyes, is it? If a player was going to say goodbye, he wouldn't necessarily put in his. I mean, he could coming back stronger for next season. He wants to come back stronger for next season at a new club. You could look into it that way. But for me, when he puts here, just get rid of the screen. Now it's time to rest and enjoy some quality time with family and friends. Come back stronger next season with a little green love heart. Hermano, says Julian Rojo. Let's see what the replies say to that. Back up the road, you. Back up the road. Come back, Julian. We'll organise a GoFund. to pay half your wages. Really? Are we that desperate? Yang said, stupid bro. It's maybe lost in translation, but Yang said stupid bro to him. Junior Adamu, oh hermano, which basically means mate, brother, in Spanish. It's and obviously Portuguese. Sebastian Tenetti says the best. Let's see what replies he gets. Roll on next season. Simply, simply the best. And then a couple of, and then it just goes into the fans that have replied to him. Stay strong, believe in yourself, work hard, and 100% motivation. Do you think that he will leave? I mean, he's in an unfortunate position. Is Paulo Bernardo? Get off that, you little. Get off. Oh. Getting attacked by animals. Right. I swear to God, you. Never do lives with children or pets, or even adults. But anyway, apologies about that. I was getting my feet were getting attacked by a kitten. So professional, I know it's not. It's nothing professional about this channel. If you want somebody professional, just don't come here. You just get what Celtic fans are thinking. Anyway, I need coffee, not tea. And I've only got a cup of tea this morning. Right, that's enough of Paulo Bernardo, because to me it says he's coming back for pre-season. Obviously, there'll be discussions when it comes to the new season whether or not Paulo Bernardo will be a Celtic player next year. Now, the Sean Maloney one's interesting. There's quite a lot of people that are really against Sean Maloney getting any kind of position at Celtic, and he. I mean, Sean Maloney has a lot to do with what happened to Celtic over the course of the last 6 months. Earlier reports yesterday that it was a sporting director role, but it's head of football operations that Celtic are trying to link him up with. Do you think? Come on, Baz, you don't care what the animals say. Aye, Jesus, until they're scratching you. Anyway, we move on. Breaking out in a sweat already. That tea's roasting. Sean Maloney, in his role, how much influence has he had on transfers and people that have been brought to the club? There's been a lot of people saying that we need at least 10 players to come into the club. I think we all kind of knew that anyway. When you look at all the players that were going to be leaving, players that were under on loan agreements that will not be coming back to the club, they'll all be needing replaced. When you look at Dyson, Rio Hatate, Arne Engels, there's another 3 to add to that. So you're under about the number 10 figure anyway. And then other players that are on the sidelines that aren't up to the grade. If they weren't up to the grade this season, what's to say that they're going to be, if they're not up to the mark this season in what they bring to the club, and if they weren't fancied by Celtic, why would a new manager want to take the deadwood, as they're sometimes called? Not that I would ever call the player deadwood, but I think that when you see what's going on at Celtic from the outside, I mean, it's pure. I mean, Steve McCown saying that we're after 2 players that we've been after before, Casper Ho and Jacob Broom. If we're going after the players that Brendan Rodgers wanted, that Martin O'Neill wanted, that who's making the decisions then? Because it's not the manager. We're now making decisions on players before a manager comes in. So that's not change. So much for the Celtic board listening to the fans. The fans wanted change within the club. If we've set out our targets already from inside the club without knowing A, what formation the new manager will like to play, B, without the next manager assessing the squad for himself and deciding that, these players aren't good enough, can we get some new players in? yes, it's prudent for the club to go out and look at players for every position. Any normal business would do that. But if we're actively resurrecting transfer targets from previous managers, it says a lot for the club. Let's jump into the comments this morning. David Burton, that was a good one. Need can find the manager before they go do anything. The clubs are always signing players going to leave. It's too late. Or stuck in the stone. I think we are stuck in the Stone Age. I'm going to jump back up the comments section. Just get as much of these in this morning as possible. Stephen Johnson says, I'm doing the best I can at the moment. I'm staying strong. Good on you, mate. Good on you. And I hope the things that you messaged me about earlier in the year, I hope that you're fighting them well. And I really mean that. I really mean that. And Stephen, great Stephen, thanks, buzzing. A lot of people saying good morning to you, Stephen. I've talked to them. Morning, Kid Keeper. Morning, everyone in the chat. Does seem is getting interviewed for. I don't think Martin O'Neill's getting interviewed. I think that was a bit. It was a bit of it's a bit of wordplay by the media people that put these headlines out, isn't it? I think Martin O'Neill will have a conversation with the club on whether he wants to. It'll be a two-way conversation. I think that Martin, would you like to stay on as manager? You'd help us out for a year. Delaying tactics by the board. Total. I can see the benefits. We've spoken about this before. We're going over things, but I think that Martin O'Neill would then have the conversation with the hierarchy at Celtic, the people that the fans want out. Remember, on whether to come onto the board at a higher level. So he's a go-between between the board and the fans. And as well as that would be fantastic. But what influence does he have? He's obviously going to have an influence on who the manager will be. What I don't want to happen is similar to what happened down at Manchester United. Fergie would sit up there in the perch, like the parrot of Parkhead, Martin O'Neill would be known as, and glaring over the managers and the managers' decisions. Would that cast a shadow over the next incoming manager? When you've got that pressure of a man who came in and saved the club sitting up in the director's box on a game day. Not in and around the club on a daily basis, but when it comes to a game day, he travels up and spends the weekend. His weekends are all about coming up to Celtic and sitting in the director's box. I don't want the next manager to have to feel that there's a pressure, an added pressure on him. Manchester United went through a really bad phase after Fergie left. Not that Celtic will do that because it's a completely different league, and we can outspend and outsmart the rest of the SPFL when it really comes down to it. But the next manager doesn't need pressure from inside the stadium. He's going to have enough pressure from fans if he doesn't hit the ground running. He's going to have enough pressure if certain sections of the fans do not like him. He's going to have to win everyone over. He's going to have to prove himself to the fans. And yet, in the meantime, we're sitting on Tuesday morning. The season ticket renewals come to a close on Friday. I wonder what Love Bomb Celtic will put out today. I've not been on the website this morning. Let's see if Celtic are going for a daily love fest. No, it was yesterday, the last thing that they posted. One sunny evening in Lisbon, how 11 boys made history. Celebrating the Kings of Europe and another double club news. Double delight players' reaction after special day at Hampden. Love bomb, love bomb, love bomb. It's called the hook jab. The hook jab. You get love, love, love. Buy your season ticket, you scumbags. Oh man, it is, isn't it? Liam says he's just sobered up from the weekend. I'd like to know who they are interviewing other than Martin O'Neill. I don't think that'll come down to. When you say interview, it's not really an interview, is it? It's a telephone conversation with Dermot Desmond. We know how it works. We've had enough managers now tell us how it works. I've got to answer a couple of comments that I seen after the videos yesterday. There was a lot of people saying that we need a year to transform from the Martin O'Neill era to a new manager. And I'm going to let you listen. Let me see if I've got it. I'm going to let you listen to something first of all from Neil Lennon.
Neil, the Celtic fans singing one Neil Lennon was a nice touch at the end.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, they weren't singing it 5 years ago, but they sang it today. So, yeah, it was a nice touch. Yeah.
Neil Lennon, saying they weren't singing my name 5 years ago, but they were singing it, and that's what he was asked that about, and he was. You've seen the look on his face; he's quite bitter about it. Yeah, he looked quite bitter about the fact that they weren't singing my name 5 years ago. You lost us the 10, mate. You lost us the Holy Grail. I don't care if it was COVID and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like you lost us the Holy Grail. A lot of people were saying yesterday they would rather Neil Lennon back, and I mean, if you're talking about going backwards, and then people, the justification for having Neil Lennon back was, well, he was the last manager to do well in Europe for us. If we want to go forward, if you want to give the board an easy ride, just get Neil Lennon in and put Martin O'Neill upstairs and just have an Irish love fest, and nothing changes at the club. I think that we need to move forward, and yes, whilst I'm all about having Martin O'Neill upstairs in some capacity, Sean Maloney is taking over the role that Paul Tisdale had. I'm not too sure of that one, purely because of the players that we brought in the last transfer window. And then you've then got to ask the question, if we are going for Casper Ho, if we are going for Jacob Broom again this year, a year down the line, when we've went through so many managers, what is the point in bringing in a manager? Right, let's talk about Liam Scales. Get some comments in, and let the meltdown continue. Morning, my rebel brothers and sisters. Morning, Baz and Stephen Johnson. Same targets, same results. Penny pinching, £2 million after £10 million player. Brutal summer ahead. Yeah, over £2 million for a £10 million player. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. And in the meanwhile, we've got Willie Hockey and Paul McStay running about trying to create as much love as possible for the club and say, buy your season tickets. A lot of people still question that. Seemingly is on. And by the way, when the first email that I got, I did ask Willie Hockey's secretary if I could have some kind of contact with them, but it's nice. It's nice to see that he's going on an ex-Celtic player who doesn't have a lot of good to say about Celtic these days, McAvenny, but they're seemingly going on his podcast. Take from that from what you want. Anyway, Liam Scales. Liam Scales has just been given a fantastic extension on his contract at Celtic. Whilst it was a remarkable event, Scales says that when he was away with the Ireland team, he predicted. Liam Scales, it's unbelievable. Liam Scales made 56 appearances for Celtic this season, all which there was only a handful that he wasn't in the starting 11. Speaking after the cup final, Scales revealed that his Ireland teammates laughed off the big prediction about how Celtic's season would end during the last international window. And I'm going to I don't know if he's heard this one, but let's listen to this little bit of an interview.
I can remember going away with the international team in March, having lost to Dundee United, and saying to everyone all we need to do is win every game to win a double, and it's kind of getting laughed off. So it's amazing to go and actually do that.
Talk to us about Martin O'Neill and the impact he's had on you this season.
Personally, I probably haven't felt more confident under a manager. You know, the confidence he gives us, and me personally, it's been great. It's been really good. It's been tough, and there's been ups and downs. But you know, as a group, I think we've always felt that confidence from the manager, and me personally, 100%. It's made a big difference.
How would you feel if Martin was given the job for next season?
Personally, I'd be delighted. You know, I love playing for him. Obviously, that's out of my hands, but for me, yeah, it would be great for me. I really enjoyed playing with him, and I think we've been really successful under him. So, yeah. There's nowhere I'd rather play. I think I've seen people come and go. I've seen people maybe leave when they thought they didn't have a future here, and then come to regret it because they go to different clubs. They don't realise how big a club it is here until they're away from it. So I think that's kind of taught me that lesson, that, you know, I'm happy here, and I love it here. I love living here. I love playing for the club. So I'm delighted.
There we go. Skillsy. He knows the score. There was a bit of, I'm going to say it, there was a bit of Scott Brown about that comment. There was a bit of Scott Brown, and that's made me smile this morning. It has made me smile. It's the first time I've heard that interview. And you need people like that at the club. You know, you do need it. I haven't a great feeling about this pre-season, a feeling of shambles. H says Barry on the chat. Can't believe how he's been treated, talking about Paolo Bernardo. Baz, Celtic approached Motherwell bossed after he joined Toulouse. That's all hearsay. I do not believe that 1 minute, because there was a lot of people saying I heard that he took the Toulouse job because Celtic weren't interested. So I think that there's a lot of stuff goes on online that is when there's nothing being leaked from Celtic about the manager's situation, there's always going to be speculation, and there's always going to be, you know, the usual nonsense to, and this isn't protecting the board, but I do think that the way that it came out about Toulouse, the fact that Toulouse had inquired to him with his agent in January, the Toulouse thing was nothing new. Celtic was just speculation. You can't hang about and wait on speculation. You know, so if someone does come in and make you an offer, and there was the belief that he wanted to speak to Celtic, all just hearsay. You know, there was no confirmation of that. And the rumour that was going around before this allegation went about yesterday is the fact that his agent heard that Celtic weren't interested in him. You can understand why Celtic wouldn't be interested in Jens. What has he achieved in the game? What has he won? You know, it's every manager that comes in over the past, well, every manager that we've had recently has won stuff in football, won competitions, won leagues. Nobody, do you know? Everyone said, oh, "Who's this Ange Postecoglou?" When you look at Ange's record, he consistently won at clubs. What's Jens done? Nothing. Played some good football. Is that really what's going to take us to the next level in European football? Does he have the mentality to get it over the course? I don't know. There's all these things. He may be a manager that goes on, has a great career, but it's just all pure speculation. But we'll wait and see. Liam says he shouldn't be resting. He's been resting. He should be training during the off season. He was Portugal's under-21 captain. He's fallen off the cliff. He needs put. Liam, shut up. Of course, he's put the work in all season, mate. You're on the wind-up this morning, aren't you? You've got that raging hangover. Looking at all. I've got to let, for anybody that didn't know, Liam put out his mobile phone number in Cambodia on the very last live of the season, and he had the rest of us in stitches because we were like, "What is this madman doing with his number from Cambodia?" 10 players at least need to come in, says Paul Baird. Yeah, I think that it's more than 10 players personally. I think it's in around about the 14-15 bracket. But if we utilise some of the younger players that are in and around the squad and promote them into the first team proper, we'll see where it goes for there. Do you think going back in for the same players, selling club, are looking for more money? Of course they will be. Of course they will be. Liam, I put in a welfare check for you yesterday morning. he did. He did that. He said, "Has anybody seen Liam? Just, you know what I mean? Is he been abducted or yeah?" Right, I'm going to jump through the comments. The board are reactionary and have no forward plan for the club, and they will keep the same management in place for next season. It's we go for kids for garden too. Yeah. The board aren't going to give us what the fans wanted. The fans were protesting for change. And at this moment, it doesn't look like the fans are going to get any conceivable change that will satisfy the needs of the fans. The Not Another Penny campaign is still very much alive. Celtic are putting out posts to make sure that people renew their season tickets. We have no information on coming out of the club. We are in the same position that we were before we were asked to just sit down, shut up and sing. Back the team. You know, let's have a bit of unity. Let's get it over the line. Well, we've got it over the line. We're now on the Tuesday and we've still got radio silence from the club. Not that I'd expect Michael Nicholson to come out and tell us absolutely anything, but that's part of the issue with the club right now. Do you know, putting out a little statement on the website, it's been fantastic. He's done well this season. You backed the team when it was mattered. Putting out the love bombs. That's not change. You know, and it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a very interesting summer. Martin will be doing the interview. Yeah, Martin will be doing the interview for the managers. The board better start pleasing the fans with quality management and players, or they still ain't getting another penny from me. It's going to be interesting. Because we need to there's a World Cup on, which will delay a lot of players coming to the club. And any player that's not at the World Cup, people say, well, is he a top player? Stephen Johnson, you'll never walk alone, big man. Stay, says Gel. 2 weeks of peace without football before the World Cup commences. Bets are on that Scotland get pumped out in the first round as usual, says Claire. Right, I'm just going to get some more of these comments. Robbie Keane is evens on odds checker. I'm happy if it's Keane, with Maloney and Fozzie remaining in the dugout for continuity. Continuity, that great word that a fantastic Celtic, well, it wasn't fantastic, he never won none, but yeah, Celtic manager used to say. I would like to see Fozzie staying at the club in some capacity. I think that we need him. McManus will go back to the B team. Gavin Strachan will retain his position at the club, and then there was another guy that was brought in by Martin O'Neill. You would like the new manager to bring in some of his own staff, so that we can maybe change things up. You know, I think that there's if we do not bring in backroom staff, we're going to get a similar type of football to what we've had this season. And it's not free-flowing, fast-attacking football, is it? I mean, I think we were kind of blessed with Ange Ball. And then Brendan came in, and all Brendan did was try to keep it the same, but then ruined it with his possession-type play. Switch this fan on. Is this switched on? It is hot this morning. Where's the temperature gauge? It's 27 degrees already. Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God. Boiling. A lot of people saying good morning to Stephen Johnson. First, I blacked out, break my right foot, smashed my left knee, and then broke my TV. All on top of my washing machine broke last night. Apart from that, I'm doing great. So there you go. Most of the pressure at the minute is on Dermot Desmond and his cronies on the board. Yes, it is. And they need to deliver. And that's what I'm saying, Paul. If they don't deliver, what happens? You know, the Celtic fans collective isn't the powerhouse that it was because there's organisations all walked away from it that said publicly they were walking away from it. So where do we go as a fan base? How do we come together to combat the elephant in the room? And the elephant in the room is the same elephant that was in the room a year ago. We're now a year down the line. And I did say that this would kind of happen. We'd get to the end of the season, nothing would change, everything would sort of just, anyway, we move on from it. We'll wait and see before spending again and get caught out. Yes. Good morning to the champions and champions only. I wonder what Del McInnes is up to today. Who cares? I think I'll turn my phone off till September, just in case. No to Neil Lennon, says Claire. I don't blame Neil Lennon for losing the 10, to be honest. Gus, what's your lot of numbers so I can stay away from them? I'm going to jump through them. Scales deserves a new contract. Well, he got that. He definitely got that. The board will sell their best players as usual, and then they will always make profit. Every transfer window, they still haven't replaced Kyogo yet. Boom. I think that I can understand why people are saying keep Kelechi Iheanacho, but no matter what happens in certain positions, I think that we need to go out and improve. And whilst people will say, well, Iheanacho is great for the Premier League, we do need to go out and find someone that can help us get it over the line in a European context. Scales himself, Scaldini, has said, he wants to go out, he wants to win a treble next year, and he wants to do well in the Champions League. Liam Scales has thrown the gauntlet down to the club, big style, massive. That's the type of players that you want at the club. I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be an interesting one, but when Callum McGregor does leave, it's going to be interesting to see who gets the captain's job, because the way that Scales is talking and the way that he talks about the club and everything kind of puts him in front of Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney would only get it because of age and stature and stuff. But Scales is bound to be up there with potential captain material. Which, I tell you one thing, what a bloody turnaround in that boy's career. Considering he was 5 minutes for leaving the club one summer, ready to go back to Aberdeen, thinking, I'm not getting anywhere near this Celtic team. And if it wasn't for injuries, we wouldn't have Scales. It just shows you. Ask you wanted the Celtic job. Celtic were not interested. That's what I heard. Yep. Well, we don't know that he wanted the Celtic job. He wanted to have a chat to Celtic. I mean, I think Toulouse will be offering them, what you little shit's doing now? Toulouse will be offering them fantastic money. I think that Celtic would have been able to offer him similar cash. When it comes to the league spending power, Toulouse, it's one of those, he's in the French, seen as a better league than Scotland. But anyway, I never believed for 1 minute that Jens was ever on the list. I said previously, said Paul Baird, ask you done nothing. Same as we. I'm going to jump straight to the end of these this morning. As these are only been for half an hour, and that's who would you say will be our most profitable player in the summer? Could it be Benji Negrin for 20 million? No, I don't think that Benji Negrin will be sold this summer. If you're going to sell Arne Engels, I've said it before, I don't think that we will sell Benji Negrin. And I don't, and I'm going to tell you why, because Martin O'Neill, there was the video that Martin O'Neill, the Celtic put out when Martin O'Neill left the first time, before Wilfred Nancy came in, and he pinpointed Benji Negrin, and he said to Benji Negrin, do you know, Henrik Larsson's my second favourite, ABBA's my first favourite, I want you to be my third favourite, Swede. Maybe after Johan Malby. Did he leave Malby out? He did, didn't he? Ooh. Wonder how Malby felt about that one. Has anyone asked Martin? That'd have been the question I'd ask. So, Martin, you said that ABBA was your favourite, Henrik was your second favourite, and you want Benji to be your third favourite. How does Johan feel about that? Johan standing in the background. But anyway, yeah, I wonder how he felt about it. But no, I don't think Benji Negrin will be sold this summer. Purely because of the goals he scored. Purely because of the goals he scored. I think the Celtic will make enough money. When it comes to profitability, whatever we get for Dice... Get off my feet, you... I think the money that you'll make from Dice Maeda, 1.6 million to 15 million, I think that would far outweigh, because you've got to remember, we bought Benji Negrin for 1.75 million. It's kind of the same. We'll have to, at least we won't have to put with any more Balak Wisher. No, because we were linked to Balak Wisher for years. Is CCV not the vice captain? Yes, he is the vice captain, but that can change when new managers come in, doesn't it? Alistair Johnson would be good as captain. Will Alistair Johnson be here as Scales? I wouldn't be unhappy with Scales being captain. Sometimes you just look at a player, and when I'm looking at him in that interview, and I'm looking at the fire in his eyes, the fire burned beneath your eyes, and the water crushed your shell, and the natural gas gonna burn your ass and send you back to hell. Oh, look. Don't know where that came from this morning. Oh, Jesus, love that song, love it. Anyway, Liam Scales, when you look at him and you see the way that he's talking, and he talks about the club, and he doesn't want to go anywhere, and he's seen players leave the club because they thought they had no futures here and they weren't getting into the team, and he's been through that himself, and he's come out the other end, and he says, I'm happy here, I don't want to go anywhere. Do you know, they've given me a good wage offer, I could maybe go somewhere else and earn good money, but one, you're not going to be winning trophies, you're not going to be playing at the highest level. Sometimes money isn't, you know, the big motivator for players. A lot of players are controlled by their agent, and the agent says, I can get you another 20, 30 grand a week. You know, that's what it's all about, lads, because you've got a short football career, and then you go and play for a team that wins nothing and achieves nothing. It's where Scales is like, nah, I'm happy here. You know, I love staying in Scotland. I love the club, and I've got to say, you need players like that. Jacob has been sold by his club. They're ready to sell him now for 4 million. They didn't want to sell him previously as the striker, which would be a coup for us, a proper striker. I would sell Benji Negrin anything near 8 million. Bite the hand off. 9 million. 8 million for a player that scored 20 odd goals and something like 8-9 assists. That's a bit bonkers. That's giving him away. That's completely giving him away. Quinny's in the house. Hope you're good, mate. The Zombies have been in hell for years. Yeah, who cares about that? Scales will improve the back with a good back line. I'm being asked to renew a season ticket, yet no manager, no direct football, and no interim chairman, a non-existent CEO, says Paul. It does put the fans in a very difficult position this week. Like I said, there will be, I'm expecting Celtic to drop more love bombs today. They dropped love bombs all day yesterday, telling you to renew your season ticket, etc. A lot of questions still unanswered. It's just going to be interesting to see where we go. And like you say, there is many people like you, Paul, that thousands. Anyway, need defenders that have skill and can pass the ball. No panic when they pass forward. Ooh. The transfer budget is going to rely heavily on sales this year. I don't think it will. I don't think it will rely heavily on sales. I think that if the estimates that I think, if you can get 15 million for Dyson Maida, it's a fantastic deal. If you can get between 5 and 8 million for Rio Hatate, never mind what his form was or anything, you've got to look at the fact he's got 2 years left on his contract. So anything between 5 and 8 million is pure profit for that. And then when we sell Arnie Engels for 20 million, that'll be the minimum that you'll get for Arnie Engels. You're in the region of 35 million-ish. You know, closer to 40 million if Celtic get the deals done in the right way. And they know the way that Celtic are. So, well, people will say, well, that's what will pay for the transfers. I don't think that Celtic are relying on having to sell these players. I think that, well, the fact that we're looking at players that were linked with the club already, what's the point in bringing... I vote for Quinney as manager. There we go. Get Quinney as manager. And rumours Celtic are selling Benji Negron for a record fee, which you're talking about 30 million then. That's the only way that you would. And there's clubs that will pay 30 odd million for a midfielder that scores, that has a goal contribution of 30 plus a season. 30 million is not a lot of money. 30 million may be big money to Celtic. God forbid that we sell them for 30 million and bring in. Could you imagine if we bring in 65 million in the transfer window? Oh, Jesus God. That would tip you over the edge, wouldn't it? 60 million, 65 million in transfer fees. Anyway, Chris coming in from Australia. We should be keeping Engels, Benjamin, and improving them. We need goals and assists. We definitely that. Right, that has been done and dusted for this morning. 42 minutes is more than enough in anybody's time during close season. Thank you to everyone who has been on this morning. As you would expect, the numbers would be this morning. I'll have not drinking my cold tea, going to have some breakfast, and I shall see you back later on this evening. Hopefully Celtic might tell us a bit more today. You never know. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. What are we pressing that for?